Welcome back, listeners. We're back with part two. We're hitting the hard court, and again, it's your boy JT, the man with a million names, one face that's made for a million pictures, and your boy Fonz hailing again from the East Coast, where it is cold and nothing is sunny and nothing is funny about the Washington Wizards, the Zards, as you've been calling them, Fonz. The Zards. Third currently in the Eastern Conference standings. What has happened to cause this resurgence within literally one season? What do you think, Fonz? Are these guys for real? Are they legit, or has the East Coast sort of evened out?
I mean, if you just watched the game against they had against the Cavs on Monday, right? Everybody would think they're legit, right? Everybody would say that they, could be the second best team in the East. Their starting lineup is amazing, but they have no bench. We all know these things about the Zards. John Wall and Bradley Beal have more or less mended their that creeped up over the first half of the season. But I was looking at it, and they really had a turning point sometime in, when was that? December 23rd. They lost to Milwaukee at Milwaukee, 123-96. And since then, they have lost a total of 4 times. And so I feel like that was really the turning point. Ever since the Christmas break, they've been on a tear and really looking like one of the better teams in the East. And now everybody's propping them up as, they're a trade away from possibly beating the Cavs in a playoff series. Could they be the dark horse that we see?
I always wonder what everyone thinks when a team goes on a tear. I mean, Miami won its 12th straight game. Keep in mind, Miami was at the bottom of the league, and everyone said, they are one piece away from just turning this around. They need to change this. Everyone needs to change a little something in their lives to make their lives a little better. I always wonder if people are just more of what's the word I'm looking for? Projecting about their own
but I also feel
lives.
like for the Wizards, I think a lot of it is adjusting to Scott Brooks. Like, we all know that when you get a new coach, even if there's an off season, for them to adjust, you still need to figure out his specific tactics, to use a soccer term, in like a live game. So I feel like after that Milwaukee loss, everything more or less clicked. It's like the Falcons, which like last year, they started off well and they were more or less clicking, but then it fell apart. But then this year they figured everything out, all the pieces working. Matt Ryan figured out all of the little tendencies of his receivers and of Kyle Shanahan's offense. And so I feel like the Wizards are doing a bit of that, where they're figuring out all of the little details of Scott Brooks' scheme. They're figuring out that Otto Porter's actually a decent NBA player, if not good, which is like something I did not expect. And Bradley Beal has survived somehow. He hasn't gotten injured.
To be fair, in comparison of the two, if we're actually going to go there, those two teams are very similar, and I like the comparison with the Falcons from the NFL and the Wizards in the NBA. Talking about two teams that have sort of come, sort of had this like Phoenix rebirth sort of resurgence. I were there. It was health that's been the reason for both teams. John Wall out for a number of games last season, along with Bradley Beal, who was out for a huge string of games. And I think that his major turnaround, when you mentioned that it's been very fortunate for him not to have been injured this season. I mean, the guy's averaging 30 plus points this season.
No, 22.
22 on average, highest scorer though. If I remember on a daily basis, he's up there in like top 5 in scoring this week, and Paul is third, fourth. I want to say third or fourth in assists right now with 11, 10 or 11, and they are essentially, if you they're close in math. They're tied with the Toronto Raptors, and we'll get into their backcourt in just a second. But they are, they win a couple of games. They start looking a little bit more like the third seed that's going to come out of the East. And if you were going into battle against whoever the proposed sixth seed is, Joe Schmo's team, or we don't
Right
really
now,
care
it's the
about who's going out
Pacers.
on top. It could be the Pacers. The Pacers may jump up to number 5 if they
Yeah,
go on a run. But right now, when it comes to the East, it's just whoever is not whoever is 4 and up. And right now, I just wonder if, I mean, you mentioned it earlier. People are wondering who's going to what piece do you need to beat the Cavs. I wonder what piece do you need to win a championship, because I looked at a championship ring for the Washington Wizards at one time, and it looks really nice. And I would want to think to myself, that's what I want. I don't care who I have to beat, just as long as I get that piece. Do you think that these guys are true contenders, or are they just on a or are they just performing some magic right now?
I think the key for them would be managing minutes, right? Because they are a top-heavy team. Shout out to LeBron. Um, and we all it's been talked about if you read or listen to NBA content that they don't really have a bench. Who do they have? They have Marcus Thornton, Trey Burke, Jason Smith, Jan Mahimi. Like, these guys aren't going to be able to hold down the fort in, if it's like Bradley Beal injures himself in the first round or is out for a couple of games. So everything is about making sure that John Wall, Bradley Beal, Otto Porter, Gortat, and Morris are not overworked before the playoffs, because if they break down, they're done, because everything about the team revolves around the starting lineup.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. You have two teams right now that are essentially the 3 seed, the Raptors and the Wizards. And the
Yeah.
Raptors were 2 bad second halves consecutively away from giving the Cavs a better Eastern Conference series. DeRozan, and I forget that other kid's name, Lowry.
Yep.
Sounds like Salt. It's
Yeah,
not
Kyle
Mike
Lowry.
Lowry, right?
No,
Oh, Kyle Lowry.
Kyle.
Because he was,
Yeah.
because I would have been salty if I were him as a result of last season. And you're this close. You're basically a couple hairs away from getting to the NBA Finals. If you're LeBron James, would you right now, at this moment, Kyrie Irving is injured for the rest of the season, do you want the Wizards backcourt, or do you want Toronto's backcourt?
I mean, are we basing it off just pure talent, nothing about the intangibles in quotes? Or do you want a little bit of that?
You know what? You give me what you got. I mean,
Yeah, well,
I've seen these guys play and in tandem. I've seen the dynamic that works for both teams. I've seen both systems and what it comes down to. And I'll give you my answer in a second. But I want to know, what do you think?
if I was LeBron?
If you were LeBron and you said, hey, we're going back to the championship, but Kyrie's out, I need X and Y in my backcourt, who are you taking?
I'd say, I mean, the easier answer is to say Wall and Beal, right? Because you get Wall, good assist, willing to distribute the ball, solid defender, and Beal, 3-point shooter, spacing the floor, better version of JR, more or less. But I I like the Raptors. I like DeRozan and Lowry a bit more simply because they have playoff experience, and I feel like Lowry has shown not necessarily in the playoffs because the Raptors were kind of disappointing in the playoffs in general, but he's the type of guy who would mesh well with LeBron. Who both of them like will be the type who doesn't take shit from anyone. Because like the thing with Wall is that he wants to be the star, right? He wants to be the highest paid guy in the team. So if he's with LeBron, I mean, obviously he could be the type of guy who would defer to LeBron because he knows that in a couple of years LeBron will leave and it will be Wall's team. But with Lowry, like I feel like the only thing he wants is to win a championship. Like he's there's a video on NBA Reddit a week ago, I think, and it showed the locker room of the Raptors after a game, and Lowry was talking. He was basically saying, it's all about the little things. If you do these little things, we'll win. Like he knows what it takes, even though he hasn't gotten there. I feel like that's what he wants. Meanwhile, Wall, it's like, oh, I want to be the highest paid guy. I want to have a nice shoe deal. I want to be on billboards. I want to be the leader.
So you're saying that that there are intangibles that would take away from you being LeBron James that would make you think, what, these guys aren't ready to take us to where we need to be.
Yeah, because I feel like look at Lowry and DeRozan. They have a great friendship. I feel like if they are, let's say, we have a trade, it's Kyrie and JR and I don't know Channing Frye for DeRozan and Lowry. Even if let's just say that's a hypothetical. I feel like they would mesh. They would cut down their shots and learn how to play with LeBron. Like Lowry could become a spot-up shooter, or or the effing playmaker that they need, right? And then DeRozan could be a cutter.
I mean, I see where you're coming from. I'm just looking at, all right, so if we're talking about the X's and Y's or the X's and O's, if you follow the game plan versus the math, I'm looking at simple late game execution. If you took the games of both Lowry and DeRozan and matched them with Beal and Wall within a 48-minute game span, you would see the most interesting transition of late game execution increase 4 to 5 fold. You got to check me on the numbers here. Beal and Wall leaps and bounds beyond Lowry and DeRozan. Now, granted that Lowry and DeRozan have played more games over a span of time.
And more playoff games.
And they have more playoff experience. However, I have enough playoff experience around me if I'm LeBron James. I got guys on the bench that have been to the playoffs. I got guys behind me that have rings. The whole team has rings. We can just start tossing out rings galore. We can fill up the room like Voldemort's bank. Okay? Let's not worry. I'm sure we get slack for that later.
Shout out to J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, I appreciate the help there. What I'm saying is that if I need this piece to complete my puzzle, I'm not worried about some framework. I'm not worried about how good the puzzle's gonna look 2 or 3 years from now. I'm worried about I'm missing this piece of my puzzle. I need to get this piece and complete another piece to get the machine going. That's Beal and Wall.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like I feel like if you replace Kyrie with Wall, like for this season, and they were going through what they went through, well, what they always go through, which is LeBron talking to the media. But I feel like Wall would say something snarky, because like LeBron said, "Oh, we need a playmaker," and Kyrie was silent. If Wall was there, he would be like, "Oh, I'm not good enough," right? Like he would say something that I feel like would hurt the team. Meanwhile, with Lowry, I feel like Lowry's just more of a team guy.
Well,
No.
I don't think LeBron has ever been asking for a team guy. I
What he
mean, if he
what
had
he
the
wants
choice
winners?
between,
Is that his
if he
whole
had,
thing?
if you had the choice in between, let's see, if you needed a playmaker, you had a choice between. And I want to make this really good. You had a choice between Kobe Bryant, okay, and let's see, and
Vince Carter.
Rajon Rondo.
Oh, come on.
No. And here's why I say that. Because Rajon Rondo, great team guy, follows leadership,
Eh,
soldier that gets in line,
eh,
high assist marker,
eh.
accurate passing, handles the ball a lot very well, minus that 1 year that he had a high turnover ratio. One of the best playmakers down the stretch, period. LeBron's asking for help, and he needs it now more than ever if, knock on wood that he's still healthy, but if Kyrie Irving went down, because that's who we're really looking at. Because that's LeBron wants to get Kyrie help. LeBron doesn't just need help himself. He needs Kyrie to get less minutes so that way he will be healthy to dominate the Warriors, because that's what we're looking at. Another Cavs Warriors rematch down the NBA Finals. He's looking for help down the stretch. I'm thinking that he doesn't care what Wall. He's like, Wall, Bill, cool. Come over, hang out, come get me a ring. You guys can go next season. I don't care what you do. Say what you want in the media. We'll be fine. I'll figure it out because I'm the leader of this team. And Wall could say whatever he wants. He can go pop off. He can go Charles Oakley on the entire organization, okay?
Shout out to Charles Oakley.
Out of Charles Oakley, and some later talk, we'll talk about how much of we'll bring on Mike about this whole James Dolan thing. But right now, what I'm talking about is, even in that context, we're talking about an organization that is at its tipping point. And I'm talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, that is at its tipping point, that needs that help because its star player is begging and asking for help, and it's on the tip of everyone's tongues. It's topic of every other conversation about what type of help you want. I would rather not have a silent lamb. I would rather have a loud wolf.
Yeah, but
And a pair of
we're trying to peek into LeBron's mind, but he's a type of guy who likes playing with friends. He likes playing with Mike Miller and James Jones. He
But
likes playing with Dwayne Wade.
I doubt that Lowry is a friend to LeBron James. And even
It's not that he's not a friend, but it's just like he'd be more receptive to a LeBron criticism than Wall. I feel like Wall. I don't know. I just have this image of Wall like being more of a selfish player, which he isn't because he has a high assist.
I would I would
Mm.
highly discourage anyone from confusing, like Fonz is doing right now, silence with agreements. I think that Lowry would be silent but not agree and look over at DeRozan and be like, did we really come to this madness? I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get it to cut it. And I really think that LeBron James would very quickly throw them under the bus. You look over at and it's always looking over at a team like the Golden State Warriors. You look at someone like Draymond will call someone out in the media. Someone on the Warriors team responds to that criticism. What happens the next game? Player goes off for 40. I don't know. I'd rather have someone that will respond. But we're going to get to
that. We're arguing two different things. Like you're arguing that you expect the guy to be the type of guy who would put up 40 after being called out. Right?
I expect the guy to be able to do his job, and then for LeBron James to say you need to do more of your job, and then that guy will go out and do even more.
The thing is that Wall isn't all that interested in just doing his job. He wants the things that come with the job. He doesn't want to necessarily do the job all the time. He wants the riches that come with being an NBA player.
I think he would get that, but what you're arguing is something in the future that would happen after this championship. What I'm arguing is that if I had 16 plus games left to play until I get to the Larry O'Brien to help me play those 16 games. That's all I care about. Everything else is going to come as it comes. The dominoes will fall. The summer season is going to be the summer season. Guys are going to go wherever they want. They can go take their shirts off and be on a boat at Miami for all I care. But for right now, for these 16 games, these are the two guys that
then you're making it a stats thing, right? And stats say that Lowry is a better player. That, better VORP, shout out to Basketball Reference. Better plus minus, better shooting. Slightly lower PER, but we all know the thing about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like it just depends on what you're what we're looking for, because I feel like intangibles are such a big thing now, especially, and I just feel like Lowry just has better intangibles and stats.
We're probably going to get a bit more into that a little bit later, but we're going to have you guys out there, your listeners, when you finally decide to wake up and get out of class and listen to this podcast, decide who would you rather have in your backcourt? Who do you think is a better duo right now? Beal and Wall, Lowry and DeRozan of the Raps. We'll be back in just a few moments because we're talking about the big stuff. We're talking about the O'Brien Trophy and
getting deep and political.
The White House.
Oof.
We'll be back.